Okay, so good morning once again, everyone. No, so today we'll be having a new discussion video. So we will be discussing a new topic. The topic will be all about stockholders' equity. So basically, we are partially done with the liability portion of the statement of financial position. However, we still need to um, discuss in the next discussions accounting for employee benefits and accounting for income tax. But before all those topics, let us deal first with um, stockholders equity, no, or basically the equity aspect of the statement of financial position. Okay, but in this discussion, we will focus more on stockholders' equity because basically, if we are to talk about the three types of equities representing different forms of business organization, kumbaga, stockholders' equities, ito yung medyo komplikado. That is why we have um, this is the topic generally covered by intermediate accounting, okay, or financial accounting, okay? So let's begin, no? So stockholders equity, okay? So before that, before we will dig deeper on stockholders equity, let us talk about first the form of a business organization known as a corporation. Okay? So, di ba, there are three types of business organization as to form. Or, kumbaga, if we are to stretch it out, although the fourth type is hindi ito siya kumbaga business organization, but basically, or no, the purpose is not primarily into business itong pang-apat, but generally this is considered as a form of business, di ba? The four types in general are the single proprietorship, the partnership, the corporation, and cooperatives. Di ba? Ito yung pang-apat. Although primarily in the not primarily designated na yung purpose ng cooperative is ito business, but as to form, parang business din sila, di ba? So corporation, no? Corporation. What is a corporation? Okay? A corporation basically is an artificial being, no? Kumbaga, artificial being siya, parang tao. Okay? Created by a special law, okay? Created by a special law na kumbaga, itong law na ito na nag-create ng isang corporation, nagbibigay or it gives that particular corporation its juridical entity. Okay? Its juridical entity. Kaya, tinatawag siya na ang corporation is like an artificial being because of a special law. Okay? Because of a special law. Kumbaga, para siyang tao or it is like a natural person na in itself, it can engage into business. Okay? It can engage into business. It can enter into transactions. It can enter into contracts. Okay? Using or using the corporation itself, no? Hindi yung mga owners, yung kumbaga party of the transaction, but rather yung corporation mismo. That is why it is like a natural person. It is like lang, kaya artificial being. Juridical entity siya, no? Because of this special law. Okay? In the Philippines, okay, in the Philippines, the fir- the 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 long time for the longest time, yung law, yung special law um related to the corporation or affecting the corporation in the Philippines basically is itong ah batas pambansa, okay, bilang 68. So, ito yung old law natin, no? Batas pambansa bilang 68. Or, previously, this was originally known as the Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay, this is the Corporation Code of the Philippines. However, um, in 2018, okay, in 2018, this particular law, okay, this particular law was amended and revised, no? Was amended, revised, and a new law was created, enacted, okay? Enacted in 2018 by the Congress, no? Signed by the President of the Philippines, okay? Ito na siya ngayon ang Republic Act 11232 or otherwise known as the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay, Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay? So, malaki talaga ang pinagbago nito coming from the old law, yung Batas Pambansa bilang 68, okay? To the Republic Act 11232 or the Revised Corporation Code, marami talagang nagbago. Isa sa pinaka-major is that ngayon, okay, kung before, the requirement to create a corporation or to establish a corporation is that there must be at least 5 but not more than 15 incorporators. Ngayon, allowed na kahit isa. Okay? That is why we can now establish a corporation na isang tao lang or yung tinatawag natin na mga one-man corporation. Okay, one-man corporation. Ito, isa to sa mga major revisions of the new or of the revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay? So, ito yung special law. So, again, Republic Act 11232 or the revised Corporation Code of the Philippines now. So, basically, a corporation is a more formal type of business wherein, okay, it is established, no, primarily, okay, or it is established na, kumbaga, long-term yung existence, even na kahit mawala yung isang stockholder, okay, yung isang stockholders, basically, ang stockholder, di ba, in a corporation is one of the owner, okay, a stockholder is one of the owners, no? Kahit mawala yun siya, the corporation would still exist. Unlike in a partnership or a single proprietorship wherein one of its owner, pag mawala, dissolve talaga yung business. Or if there is an additional owner, dissolve yung business. Because another business will be created pertaining to the new set of owners. In a corporation, hindi ganon. Okay, hindi ganon. Pag may bagong stockholder, continue yung corporation. Okay? Another thing, with the revised corporation code of the another major change in the revised corporation code, okay, in the revised corporation code is that kung dati, yung original term ng corporation is that it should only exist for 50 years subject for renewal, okay? Ngayon, sa revised corporation code, perpetual na yung life ng corporation. Okay? So those are just um, the major changes, no? Aside from the one-man corporation, di ba? Meron din tayo yung 50 years na wala na kasi perpetual na yung life ng corporation ngayon. And the third major change okay, which affects our accounting recognition is that yung um, 25%, 25 rule. Okay? Dati, okay, sa old corporation code or sa batas pa man sa bilang 68 is that um kumbaga, when you incorporate or establish a corporation, okay, it should be that 25%, okay, 25% of the authorized capital stock should be subscribed or dapat nakuha. And that out of the 25% subscribed capital stock, 25% should be paid. Yun yung requirement, no? Yun yung requirement. Um, Yun yung requirement para maka-establish or para ma-establish talaga yung corporation or formally organized, no? However, with the revised corporation code, nawala na yun siya. Okay? There is no, kumbaga, yung section na yun, with the old law, natanggal sa new law ngayon, and that, ang statement na lang is there is no minimum authorized capital stock. So, yun siya. So, dapat natin yun siya tandaan kasi kumbaga, when it comes to accounting, importante yun. No? Importante yun kasi baka yung alam pa natin is that yung 25-25 rule ngayon, wala na yun siya. However, when it comes to increase in authorized capital stock or increases in capital stock. Okay? Kumbaga, yung pinag-uusapan natin na nawala na yung 2025 rule, okay, nawala na yung 25-25 rule, original authorized capital stock. But when there is an increase in authorized capital stock, okay, it is allowed provided na 25% of that increase is subscribed and 25% of that subscribed has been paid. So, applicable pa rin siya, kumbaga, pero during increase in capital stock na. However, during the formation or establishment of a corporation, hindi siya applicable or it is now not applicable under Republic Act 112-32. Okay? So those are just some of the changes, okay? The laws, no? So kumbaga, the point is, a corporation is a juridical entity, artificial being created by a special law. Pag sinabi po natin na artificial entity siya, a juridical entity, on its own, it can enter into transaction. And of course, because it can enter into transaction, pag may mga pag may mga mali sa transaction that will result to legal implications, a corporation can also be sued because it is an artificial being. Okay? So that is a corporation, no? Last point na lang, no, on what is a corporation is that one of the major advantage of a corporation, no, though marami siya talagang advantage, isa na dyan yung tax implications, no. However, one of the major advantage of a corporation is that um, it has the highest capacity to generate capital among the other forms of business organization, no? Kasi nga, um, although 15 yung required para mag-incorporate, okay? 15 yung required at yung para mag-incorporate, 1 up to 15. However, walang limit kung ilan yung owners na pwede makasali. Okay? Walang limit. Kaya, when it comes to capital acquisition, napakataas talaga ng um, capacity ng corporation to generate capital. Okay? To generate capital. Unlike in a partnership or single proprietorship. Okay? So going back to our topic, stockholders equity. Okay? Going back, um, let us let us understand muna the concepts affecting our stockholders equity. Okay? So kumbaga, um, pag sinabi po natin na stockholders equity, okay? Pag sinabi or when it comes to stockholders equity, this is a section of the statement of financial position where it has many composition items. Okay? The first major item for a stockholders equity is itong tinatawag natin na capital stock. And by the way, we are using this term capital stock here in the Philippines because this is what is technically defined and stated in the revised corporation code of the Philippines, no? Capital stock yung ginamit talaga na term. However, if we are to use what is commonly termed by the International Financial Reporting Standards or IAS, itong share capital natin under IFRS or IAS, this is termed as share capital. Okay? This is termed as share capital. So, technically, may pagkakaiba talaga sa ginagamit ng mga terms when it comes to the revised corporation code, which is, yun talaga yung dapat gamitin natin dito because that is the law. Okay? And iba yung IFRS. Okay? Iba yung IFRS. Okay? So, going back, capital stock. Okay? So, what is a capital stock? Okay? Now, in a corporation, the ownership interest, kumbaga, the ownership interest of a corporation is basically divided into a basic unit. Okay? Itong basic unit na ito yung nagre-represent or this represents, okay, your interest in the corporation. Kaya nga, sinabi natin yung interest is divided into basic unit. Di ba? So basically, yung basic unit na tinatawag natin is itong capital stock or if IFRS, itong share capital. Okay? Itong share capital. This represents your ownership. So if you are an owner, or if you are one of the owner of a corporation, then you own capital stock. Okay? Unlike sa partnership or Unlike sa partnership or single proprietorship na diretso, dito sa corporation is hindi. The ownership is represented by a unit called capital stock. And this capital stock basically is an item of stockholders' equity. Okay, it's an item of a stockholder's equity. So, when a corporation is established, okay, when a corporation established, um, the incorporators, the incorporators, or basically, um, the owners of a corporation, okay, the owners of a corporation is generally termed as stockholders, di ba? Generally termed as stockholders. Itong mga stockholders na tinatawag natin na mga owner of a corporation, it can be na few of them, sila yung tinatawag natin na mga incorporators. Okay? The incorporators, these are the stockholders who originally formed the corporation. Ito yung silang either 1 or 1 up to 15. Kasi ito yung requirement na ngayon to form a corporation, di ba nga? No? Sila yun, incorporators, originally forming the corporation. And then, subsequently, if may mga bagong owners, no? If may mga bagong owners na who acquires capital stock, sila na yung tinatawag natin or they generally form part to our stockholders. Okay? They generally form part to the stockholders. The stockholders are the owners of the corporation, representing ownership of capital stock. Okay? Representing ownership of capital stock. Now, this capital stock, okay, there are many types of capital stock. Okay, there are many types of capital stock, but we will, or in general, capital stock, okay, meron tayong tinatawag na common stock, okay, and we have this preferred stock. Okay? Under the IFRS, common stock, this is termed as ordinary share capital. Okay? Preferred stock, preference share, okay, capital. So, ito yung, kumbaga, yung two types of capital stock natin, no? Ito yung two types of capital stock natin. Common stock and preferred stock. So, the point is, no, these are your capital stock. Ito yung, okay, these are the units owned by stockholders. Okay, these are the units owned by the stockholders. The capital units owned by stockholders. Okay? So, ano yung pinagkaiba nila? Or what is the difference between common stock and preferred stock? Okay? A common stock, in general, it gives the owner, okay, it gives the owner of a common stock full privilege and rights. Okay? Full privilege and rights given, okay, to a stockholder. stockholder. Meaning, it can vote, okay? It can vote as to matters affecting the corporation, okay? Um, it can vote in the election of of the board of directors, okay? It um, it has the right to receive a portion of the income. Okay, it has the right to receive a portion of the income. Okay. Um, it can receive assets of the corporation in matters of dissolution. So kung baga kung ang corporation is nag-decide na i-wind up na or tapusin na yung operation ng corporation, then basically that is a dissolution. It can receive, okay, assets and in excess of the um, obligations of the corporation. So, kumbaga, yung excess na mga assets, pagkatapos na bayaran lahat ng mga obligation, marireceive yun ng mga um, stockholders, no? That is basically one in general the rights of stockholders, which yung full rights na mga yon, okay, yung full rights na yon is entitled talaga yung mga common stockholders. Okay? Itong mga preferred stockholders or yung mga owners of a preference share capital, okay, ito, they are generally termed as a preferred stock or preferred stockholder because although kung iintindihin natin siya parang special, no, kasi preferred, no, kasi preferred, kumbaga they are only preferred in matters of income distribution and dissolution or distribution of assets during dissolution. Kaya tinatawag sila ng mga preferred stockholders because sila yung mga nauuna sila yung mga nauuna when it comes to income distribution and um, assets in matters of dissolution. Okay? But they do not generally have the right to vote, okay, in general matters affecting the corporation except for certain, no, may mga exceptions na pwede silang mag-vote. But in general, they do not have that right. And also, they do not have the right to vote for board of or members of the board, no, of directors. So, kumbaga, kung isipin natin, itong mga preferred stockholders, para mga pseudo-owners lang. Kasi, kumbaga, ito yung sila na yung habol lang sa corporation is that they do not intend control, but rather income only. Income lang yung mga gusto nila. Kaya, sila yung mga inuuna pagdating sa mga ganon, no? Pagdating sa mga ganon. So, preferred stock. Okay? So, that is the difference between a common stock and preferred stock. But nevertheless, these are our capital stock. Okay? These are our capital stock. Okay? Now, so, next, yung mga important item in a shareholder's equity is itong tinatawag natin na subscribed capital stock. Okay? Subscribed capital stock. Sa IFRS, ito yung subscribed share capital. So, ano tong subscribed capital stock? Okay, ano tong subscribed capital stock? Subscribed capital stock, okay, baga, In forming a corporation, okay, in forming a corporation, you are allowed, okay, to have an authorized capital stock, which, okay, which this authorized capital stock, this should be specifically stated, okay, to your articles of incorporation. Okay? Itong articles of incorporation, this is a major requirement, okay? A major requirement in forming a corporation, which basically, itong articles of corporation, sinasabi lang ninyo dito, nilalagay lang ninyo dito, or what is stated in the articles of incorporation is, you are forming a corporation, and what is basically your corporation that you are forming. Okay? And aside from those two, no? Um, ano yung corporation? What is the purpose? No? And yung kapital na, kumbaga, i-apply ninyo in forming that corporation. Okay? So yun. No? Which basically, you are applying for it to be approved. Once approved, ito na yung authorized capital stock. Okay? Once approved, ito na yung, this is your authorized capital stock. Okay? So the point is, itong authorized capital stock, kumbaga ito lang yung limit, okay, this is the limit of the capital stock of the ownership units, okay, that you are to issue, okay, to sell or to be given to stockholders. Ito yung maximum, no? Na hanggang dyan lang yun. Which, this authorized capital stock represents your maximum capital that can be generated during the life of the corporation. Diba? Now, if these authorized capital stock are issued, pag sinabi po natin na issued, na ibigay na sa stockholders in exchange for the capital na binigay nila sa corporation, whether it be cash, property, or labor, or services. Okay? Yung capital stock na yon, yan na yung tinatawag natin na subscribe capital stock. Or the most precise description to this is, pag once na may certain individual, whether a person or another corporation na sinabi na, sige, kukuha ako ng capital stock sa iyo, particular corporation. Okay? In exchange for either yun nga, cash, property, services, and so on, no? Yun yung tinatawag natin na subscribe. Okay? Kukuha. Okay? Pag nabayaran na yan siya, okay? Pag nabayaran na yan siya, meaning, yung sinabi na kukunin sa iyo or the capital stock that was ordered, kumbaga, that was ordered, if it is already paid, then that is the only time that it will be issued. So, let us be clear on that, ha? If it is only ordered, that is only subscribed. But if it is ordered and paid, that is now what we call as issued capital stock. Okay? That is now what we call as issued capital stock. So, kung iisipin natin, okay, if we are to look at this, okay, if we are to look at this, kumbaga, pag subscribe capital stock pa lang, and if it is not paid, it is still a receivable. Okay? It is still a receivable. However, if it is already paid, okay, if it is already paid, it is issued, it is rather subscribed and already issued. So itong mga issued capital stock, ito talaga yung totoong capital stock ng corporation, yung issued. Because yun nga, meron na yan siyang kapalit na asset, whether cash or property or non-cash asset. Okay, um, cash or non-cash asset. Okay? So, klaro yun. Okay? Okay, next. Another thing, okay, that we are to consider na mga important items for stockholders' equity, okay, is itong tinatawag natin na par value. Okay, ito tinatawag natin na par value. So, ang capital stock, whether common or preferred, these are just basic units. Okay? But the amount of that basic unit, okay, the amount of that basic unit representing the ownership of stockholders, okay, is itong par value. Okay? Is itong par value. Under the, okay, under the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines, okay, a capital stock is authorized or can be issued, okay, whether it has a par value or not. Kaya may tinatawag tayo ng mga no par value. Okay? However, a capital stock can never be issued without a value. Okay? Can never be issued without a value. So, kumbaga, if we are to assign specifically stated in the Articles of Incorporation kung magkano yung value natin, okay? Kung magkano yung value natin sa capital stock, ito yung par value. But if we are to specifically state there na it is a no par stock, okay, if it is a no par stock, then what is required is that there should be a stated value. Na kahit na hindi natin specifically sinabi na mayroong par, but what is required is that there should be a stated value. Okay? There should be a stated value. Now, in the Philippines, okay, the lowest par value that we can have, that we can assign, okay, to a certain or to a basic unit of a capital stock is 5 pesos. No stock should be or should have a par value or stated value lower than 5 pesos. That is what is required. Okay? Klaro yun siya. So, kumbaga, no? if we are, or if a certain corporation is authorized to issue 10 million capital stock, okay, and that 10 million capital stock, let's say, all of it is a common stock, okay, all is a common stock, and it has a par value of 50 pesos, okay, it has a par value of 50 pesos. Um, the maximum capital that the corporation can generate, because yun nga, ito lang yung authorized niya, 10 million common stock multiplied by 50, the maximum capital that it can generate is 500 million. Okay? This 500 million is divided into 10 million capital stock or common stock kasi yun nga lang example, no? So yun, no? So when it comes to issuance of capital stock ngayon, okay? Kahit na sinabi natin or even though it is specifically stated na yung par value is at this particular amount, no? In this example, let's say it is only 50 pesos. Okay? There is no limitation as to how much you are to issue your capital stock. Depending if it is accepted by the prospected or prospective stockholder. So what does it mean? Kahit na sinabi natin, for example, na 50 pesos lang yung par value natin, okay? 50 pesos lang yung par value natin. Capital stock can be issued for, let's say, 60, okay? 70, okay? 80, more than, okay? However, it is not allowed, klaro yun siya ha? It is not allowed to issue capital stock below par value. Okay? So, it is allowed to issue more than the par value, but it is never allowed to issue below. That is why you can never issue a capital stock, okay, below its par value. Klaro yun siya. That is a specific limitation. Okay? It is a specific limitation stated in the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. Okay? Okay. Now, the amount, okay, the amount in excess of the par value, okay, the amount in excess of the par value, ito yung tinatawag natin na under the Revised Corporation Code na additional paid in capital. Okay? Ito yung tinatawag natin na additional paid in capital. Yung in excess of the par value. So let's say we have issued one share lang. Sample lang. Para simplihan lang natin, no? We issued one share in this example. So that means yung par value issued is 50. Okay? And then, in exchange for this 50 par value capital stock, we receive 60 pesos cash. So meaning, ito sa transaction is that yung pupunta sa subscribed and issued capital stock, 50, while the 10 pesos, this will be your additional paid in capital or APEC. Okay? This will be your additional paid in capital or APEC. Under the IFRS, itong additional paid in capital natin, ito yung tinatawag natin na share premium. Okay? Ito yung share premium. Klaro? So next important item that you should know, itong concept of retained earnings. So what is this retained earnings under the stockholders' equity? So retained earnings, okay? Retained earnings is basically ito lang yung um, income or loss from operation or from operating the corporation. But, okay, but this is your, kumbaga, accumulated. Okay? Accumulated income or loss. Retained earnings. So, income or loss annually during the operation. Okay? Or during the term of the corporation. So, lahat ng mga naiipon na mga income or losses, ito yung retained earnings. Okay? So, dito sa retained earnings, okay, dito sa retained earnings, this is where we get our income that will be distributed to stockholders. And that income distributed to stockholder, okay, that income distributed to stockholders, that is termed as dividends. Okay? So if we are to be asked, what is the income distributed to stockholders? That is basically the dividends. Okay? That is the dividends. Okay? So, yun. Okay? These are just some of the major factors, no, na, kumbaga, um, some of the major items that can be found in the stockholders' equity, including its related concepts and other items, no. So later on, during the course of this discussion of this discussion video series, we will also encounter other items na we should give importance, no. Um, So that is what is capital stock, what is par value, what is additional paid in capital or share premium, what is retained earnings. No? So, okay. So next, let us now go with the basics of accounting for journal, accounting for stockholders equity. Okay? Actually, very straightforward lang talaga yung accounting treatment natin dito, no? Um, in accounting for stockholders equity, okay, or accounting for stockholders equity, no? The point is, yung first major problem or first major recognition na talaga natin dito is that how do we account for share capital or yung capital stock? Okay, how do we account for share capital or yung capital stock, no? So in accounting for your capital stock, okay, there are two methods. Okay, there are two methods that we can use. To yung memo entry and journal entry method, no? Memo entry and journal entry method. So kumbaga, ang kaibahan lang sa dalawa or the difference between these two is how do we treat, okay? How do we treat the authorized capital stock? treatment as to we only recognize it as a memo. Ito yung tinatawag natin na memo entry method. Or if we formally, okay, if we formally journalize it, that is why it is called journal entry method. Okay? So yun, no? Now, before we continue again, let us go back, let us remember, no? The concept of par value. So in accounting for share capital, okay, in accounting for share capital, if, okay, if that capital stock has been fully paid, okay, has been fully paid, it is now to be issued. That is the only time we will recognize the issued capital stock. As long as there is no payment, it is still subscribed but still receivable. No issuance of capital stock during that time. Naroon siya. If there is an excess of the consideration received, okay? If there is an excess of the consideration received, excess versus the par value, okay? Excess versus the par value. The excess is the excess is charged to share premium. Klaro yun siya, ha? Klaro yun siya. Okay, now. So, talking about consideration, okay? Talking about consideration in exchange for share capital, okay? A share capital, okay, can be issued, okay, can be issued in exchange for, number one, very basic, cash. It can also be issued through non-cash assets or yung mga property, or it can be issued in exchange for properties or non-cash assets. Or it can also be issued in exchange for services. Okay? Dito, in exchange for cash, wala tayong problema kasi nga, the value to be recognized, no? For the consideration received, basically, kasi cash nga is yung value ng cash. Okay? However, dito sa dalawa, medyo magiging komplikado siya because there is now that question is, if we issue capital in exchange for non-cash assets or services, how do we recognize the non-cash asset or services received? Di ba? Yan yung question natin dyan. Okay? Under the financial reporting standards, okay, we are given this guidance, no? The recognition of the non-cash asset, okay, or services, basically, should follow this prioritization. Okay, number one, if there is a given fair market value, okay, of the non-cash consideration, okay, we should use the fair market value. Ito talaga yung pinaka-priority. Fair market value of the non-cash consideration received. Okay? If there is none, kung hindi siya given, then we will use fair market value of the shares issued. Okay? Fair market value of the shares issued. Kung ang dalawa is hindi siya given, Then, the last option is to use par value. Okay? The last option is to use par value. So, let's have examples. Okay? No? For us to really understand um, this concept. Wait, we'll look for examples. Okay, so let's say we have these examples, no? Okay, so Ocean Company was organized, okay? Ocean Company was organized at the beginning of the current year and was authorized to issue 100,000 shares at 50 par value. Okay? So a certain corporation daw was authorized to issue 100,000 shares, okay, at 50 par value. Okay? So yun, para mas klaro. Okay? Was authorized to issue 100,000 shares at 50 par value. Okay? So, um, let us use first the memo entry method. Okay, memo entry method muna tayo ha. So again, if memo entry method tayo, okay, um, there is no formal journal entry for the authorized capital stock, but rather we only make a memo entry, a general statement. Okay? So, kumbaga, pwede natin sabihin dyan that the entity was authorized to issue 100,000 share capital, okay, divided into, 100,000 share capital at 50 par value. Diba? So, yun na mga general statement for the memo. Okay? So, ang first entry natin, kasi nga, memo entry, or because memo entry lang for the authorized capital stock, the first entry would be itong subscribe. No? Itong subscribe. Um, for the first statement, okay, it is only stated na the incorporator subscribed for 25% of the authorized share capital at par value. So, kumbaga, yung original member or founding members of the corporation subscribe for 25%. Now, 25% yung ginamit dito kasi nga this basically illustration still following the old law, but um, hindi tayo dapat ma-confuse. Okay? Hindi tayo dapat ma-confuse. Ngayon, hindi na to requirement itong 25%. This is only required if there is an increase in authorized capital stock. Klaro yun siya ha? So under the memo entry method, no, going back, yung entry natin dito basically is just to debit um, subscription receivable kasi nga no statement, okay? Debit subscription receivable because there is no statement pa na may actual na payment. Okay? Credit, subscribe, capital, stock. Okay? So 25%, okay, 25%, that is computed as, diba, 100,000 shares authorized. 25% of that has been subscribed daw, so multiplied by 25%. So meaning, 25,000 shares has been originally subscribed. Multiplied by your par value of 50, so the amount is 1,250,000. Okay? The amount is 1,250,000. Okay? Now, itong subscribe capital stock natin dito, this is not yet issued, ha? Again, let us be reminded, this is not yet issued. This is just signifying na itong credit natin is that nagsasabi lang na mayroon nang nag-order, nag-subscribe ng capital stock natin. But this is not yet issued. Okay? So number 2, they paid 25%. Okay? They paid 25% daw. Of this, 1,250,000. Okay? They paid this. So, 25% of that, okay, that is 312,500. So, basically, our entry is parang typical recognition of a receivable collection. So, debit, cash, credit, subscription, receivable. Okay? At 312,500. Okay? Now, after this entry, okay, number 3, full payment was received on the 15,000 shares originally subscribed. So, I think there is something wrong with this problem, no? Wait, sorry. Tama pala, okay? So, the point is, out of that 25% subscribed daw, which is, di ba, yung na-compute natin kanina, that was 100,000 shares times 25%. Out of this 25,000 na subscribed capital stock, 15,000 of this was fully paid. Okay? 15,000 of this was fully paid. So, kumbaga, if this 15,000, okay, we multiply it by the par value, so kumbaga, yung value ng 15,000, that was supposedly 750,000. Diba? 750,000. And then, 25% of it was paid. Diba? Was paid dito. Okay? So the point is, yung collected natin dito is 75%. The collected amount is 75% of the 750,000. So kumbaga, we have collected cash, credit, or we have collected from the subscription receivable 562,500. Okay, so the entry, debit, cash, credit, subscription, receivable, at 562,000 562,500. Okay? So, next, for our number 4, okay, for our number 4, well, but before that, okay, di ba nga, sinabi natin kanina, capital stock can only be issued if it will be paid. So the point is, of the 25,000 originally subscribed, 15,000 is now paid. Thus, can now be issued. So how are we going to recognize, okay, how are we going to recognize the issuance, okay, the issuance of capital stock? We simply debit, subscribe, capital stock or subscribe share capital, pwede rin, no? Credit or capital stock or share capital, no? Subscribe capital stock or share capital, no? Credit. So kumbaga, ang entry na ito, this entry just signifies na this particular capital stock is now fully paid and subsequently issued. So magkano yung na-issue natin? Equivalent to the 15,000, okay, equivalent to the 15,000 times 50. So that is 750,000. Okay, that is 750,000. So this is now your entry during issuance. Okay, this is now the entry during issuance. Okay? Okay. Number 5, or sorry, the number 4 transaction, no? Okay, this is not number 4, but just a continuation of the issuance. Okay? For the number 4 transaction, okay, for the number 4 transaction, land with a fair value of 600 was acquired upon issuance of 10,000 shares. The market value of the share at this time is 55 pesos. So the point is, we will follow the prioritization na. Okay, we will follow the prioritization. Again, first priority, fair market value of the non-cash asset received. Okay, fair market value of the non-cash asset received. If there is none, then fair market value of the shares issued. Kung wala yung dalawa, par value. Okay? Par value. So, in this particular example, meron namang fair value na naibigay. Okay? There is a fair market value. Then, we will use fair market value of the land. So, how are we going to recognize this? We'll debit land. Wala nang receivable kasi nga already paid, kumbaga. Then, credit your capital stock or share capital. No? Depende. Again, at fair market value of 600,000. So, Now, again, capital stock should always be credited at par. Okay, should always be credited at par. So if we are to compute that, this land of 600,000 is is received in exchange for 10,000 shares. Diba? For 10,000 shares. Multiply that by the par value of 50. Okay? 10,000 shares multiplied by that par value 50. The par value is only 500,000. Diba? There is an excess. Again, that excess should be credited to share premium or APIC, additional paid in capital. Okay? Share premium or APIC. Okay? So that will be our entry. The difference is 100,000. Okay? Um, Number 5, transaction is that cash subscription to 5,000 shares at 60 per share was received. So again, meron na namang subscription. But this time, this is cash. Diba? So again, we'll debit cash. How much? Equivalent to your 5,000 multiplied by um, 60. Okay, multiplied by 60. So that is 5,000 times 60. That is 300,000. Okay, that is 300,000. So cash received is 300,000. Okay? Then your capital stock, that is equivalent to your 5,000 subscribed multiplied by 50 par value. So that is 250,000. Okay? So again, there is a difference. So ito na yung share premium of 50,000. Okay? Share premium of 50,000. So medyo madali lang naman, 'di ba, no? So number 6, okay? Transaction is that issued 2,000 shares in exchange for services. Itong legal. So again, it is allowed, no? It is allowed na in exchange for payment of services, we will issue share capital. Okay? So, um, kumbaga, ang debit lang natin dito is to the legal counsel in payment of its 100,000 bill for organization services. So, let's just say na legal expense or legal cost, debit, no? Then credit, capital, stock. Okay? Yung value niyan, that is, again, ang considered fair market value is yung cost ng services. That is 100,000. Okay? So, 2,000 times 50, yung par value, that is equivalent to the legal cost of 100. So, dito, wala tayong share premium. Okay? So, that is how we are to um, recognize this per journal entry using the memo entry method. Okay? Okay. Now, if we are to use, okay, if we are to use journal entry method naman, okay, the first entry that we are to make is to recognize the authorized capital stock, which, di ba, yung authorized capital stock natin, that is 100,000 shares, okay, that is 100,000 shares, multiplied by the 50 par value. Okay, by the 50 par value. So that is 100,000 times 50. So that is 5 million. Diba? So how are we going to recognize that? First entry. Um, debit unissued capital stock or unissued share capital. Pwede. Okay? Unissued capital stock. Okay? Then credit authorized capital stock. Okay? Debit unissued capital stock, credit authorized capital stock. That is how we should or how we are to recognize the authorized capital stock at 5 million. Okay? Okay. So, next entry natin dito after this is the same na yung iba. So that means na yung subscription receivable natin, same, ito same din, but when it comes to the issuance, okay, when it comes to the issuance, instead of this entry na credit tayo capital stock, okay, credit tayo ng capital stock, we will credit unissued capital stock. Para kumbaga, if we are to look at it, we have recognized this as a debit. Then, pag may na-issue na, babawasan na natin yung unissued. Kaya, that is why we are crediting this capital stock. Okay, this capital stock. So, the point is, yung difference lang nito from the original, okay, from this is during issuance. If there is payment na. So, instead of this entry, our entry would be to debit subscribe capital stock. Okay? Subscribe capital stock. Then, credit unissued capital stock. At, syempre, same amount, 750,000. Okay? Same amount, 750,000. So, ito. Okay? The next difference is para sa tong number 4. Kasi nga, issuance na to diretso, no? So, our entry for that would be to debit land, okay? Credit unissued capital stock, credit share premium. Land is recorded at 600, 500, and 100,000. Okay? Next difference is yung para sa cash issuance. So, debit cash, credit na naman, unissued capital stock, credit, share, premium. So, yung cash natin dito, that is 300,000. The issued is 250,000. And the share premium is 50,000. Yeah, so, nakuha niyo yung difference, no? Pag memo entry method, no entry sa authorization of capital stock. But the credit is capital stock. Okay? If journal entry method, the authorization is formally recognized in a journal entry by a debit to unissued capital stock. Okay? A debit to unissued capital stock. Then, credit authorized capital stock. If there is now issuance of capital stock, meaning it is already paid, instead of using capital stock, we will use unissued capital stock as a credit. Yun yung difference natin. So, continuing the illustration for journal entry method, debit legal costs or legal expenses, credit unissued capital stock at same amount, 100,000. Okay? So, yun yung kumbaga, kaibahan lang ng dalawa. No? So, medyo madali lang na talaga siya. Okay, medyo madali lang. No? So, after recording this, we will now go to how should this be presented in the statement of financial position. Okay? In the statement of financial position, how should this be presented? Okay? Now, so we will consider first, what if memo entry method? Okay, what if memo entry method? How are we going to present this in the statement of financial position? Okay. So, kumbaga, if we are to summarize this, okay, we should present first the share capital issued, okay, share capital issued, followed by your subscribe or share capital issued or capital stock issued. Same lang yan siya, ha? Okay? Capital stock issued followed by your subscribe capital stock, okay, less subscription receivable. So, if we are to present again, the first item would be your issued capital stock. Yun yung um, subscribe and fully paid. The next item would be your subscribed capital stock. Ibabawas natin yung receivable portion or yung partially paid lang. That is why less tayo dyan. No? So the capital stock issued natin, okay, the capital stock issued, if we are to go back, issued capital stock natin is, number one, we have 750,000. Ito. Number 3, 500,000. And number 4, itong 250,000. Ito, yung cash issuance. Then, number 3, yung para sa legal expense. So that is of 100,000, that is 1,600,000. Ba? Yung subscribed capital stock natin, okay? We started with 1,250,000. Ito, di ba? Ito yung subscribed capital stock. Then, nabawasan nung issuance nung 750. Ba? So, 500,000 na lang yung subscribed capital. 500,000 na lang yung subscribed capital stock. Okay? And then, there are no other entry affecting our subscribed capital stock. Why? Because yung iba, diretso issuance na tayo kasi nga walang subscription receivable. So the point is, our subscribed capital stock natin is, wait, mali yung calculator. Let's start. We have 1,250,000 less 750,000. That is 500,000 lang. Diba? So, the subscribed capital stock natin, that is only 500,000. Our subscription receivable is, if we are to go back to our entry, our subscription receivable, again, we started with 1,250,000. Ba? Then, there was payment of 312,500. Okay? Then, there was again payment of 562,500. Ito. Okay? Then, wala nang other item affecting our subscription receivable. So that is our subscription receivable, we have 375,000. So if we look at this, no, this 375,000, basically, this pertains to the subscription receivable of the unissued. And kung titingnan natin yung unissued natin, di ba? Na capital stock, the unissued, di ba nag-start tayo ng 1,250,000? Tapos, nabayaran yung 750,000, di ba? So, meron tayong unissued na 500. Out of this 500,000 still unissued, 25% of it was already paid during the original subscription na may 25% na payment. So if that is the case, then the related receivable of this subscription is only 75%. So yun, 375,000. Di ba? So the point is, our stockholders' equity, given na ito lang yung transaction, would be presented na ganito. Although, may mga proper terms na dapat gagamitin, but the flow is ganito. No? So the total stockholders' equity is 1,600,000 plus 500,000 less the receivable of 375,000. So with that, the stockholders' equity, if we are to be asked, is 1,735,000. Okay? Now, if journal entry method naman yung ginamit, okay, the flow of the presentation should start with the authorized capital stock. Kasi nga, it has been recognized. Then, this is the authorized capital stock. This is to be deducted, okay, with unissued capital stock. Okay? To get your issued capital stock. Diba? So the point is, the authorized capital stock, diba, we have 100,000 times 50. So we have 5 million. Okay? Tapos, and then, the issued capital stock natin, alam naman natin, di ba, na dapat the capital stock issued, we have 1,600,000. No? So, yan siya. So, obviously, our unissued here, that is 5 million minus the issued of 1,600,000, we have 3,400,000. Or if we are going to look back with our entry, our unissued capital stock, we started with 5 million. Basically, equivalent to our capital stock. Diba? Then, nabawasan siya ng 750 pertaining to the issuance. Yung fully paid. No? And then, nabawasan na naman nung sa land na 500,000. And then, doon sa cash na 250,000. Diba? Ito. And then, sa legal expense na 100,000. So, we have 3.4. Ito. Diba? So, authorized capital stock less your unissued, that will be your issued. Okay? The rest, same na yan siya na subscribe capital stock less your subscription receivable. So, ito yung flow. No? So, again, yung subscribe capital stock natin already computed, meron tayong 500,000, then less our subscription receivable of 375,000. So, our stockholders' equity, that should be equivalent to 1725. Okay? So, yun yung pagkakaiba, no? Sa memo entry method, diretso tayo sa issued capital stock. Actually, kung isipin natin, parang yan lang yan. Ito lang din yan, no? But the difference is that sa journal entry method, we need to present this. The authorized capital stock and the unissued capital stock because it is recognized. Sa capital stock, diretso na tayo kasi nga memo entry lang yung ginawa. Okay? So that is the basics for corporation, and we will end this first part of video discussion for stockholders equity kasi nga medyo mahaba na. Then we will continue with other concepts at part 2. Okay, so sa part 2 we will discuss what if issued at discount, the treasury shares, and hopefully matapos din natin yung retained earnings. Okay? So see you in the next discussion video. Okay?